ancient city of Yharnam, they worshipped a miracle. A thick, crimson liquid that could cure illness, restore vigour, and awaken the soul. With it, even the dying could walk again. But blood is never freely given. It remembers, and the deeper one drinks, the less human they remain. We begin our descent into the dark legacy of the healing church. They promised salvation in the blood, and what they delivered was apocalypse. To understand the healing church, we must first journey to a place buried in history, a secluded academy on the edge of a lake known as Bergenworth. Bergenworth was not a place of worship, it was a place of discovery. There, scholars unearthed the remnants of an ancient civilization, the Pthumerians. They were buried deep beneath the earth in the Chalice dungeons. Among the artifacts they uncovered was a substance like no other, the old blood. It was not blood as we know it. It pulsed with insight, with memory, and with something far more alien. Master Willem, the head of Bergenworth, was cautious. He believed true evolution lay not in the blood, but in thought. We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood, he warned. Willem sought transcendence through knowledge, through eyes on the inside. But one of his brightest students, Lawrence, disagreed. He saw the old blood, not as a danger, but as a gift, a means to heal, and perhaps ascend. Lawrence left Bergenworth. He turned away from Willem's warnings and carried the old blood to the great city of Yharnam. There, he found the healing church, an institution built on devotion, secrecy, and the red miracle. The people of Yharnam were eager for salvation. Blood ministration, ritual healing by transfusion, became the city's cornerstone. The church flourished. Its cathedrals rose high above the cobblestones. The sick flocked to its steps, the desperate begged for vials, and in that blood they found strength. But they also sowed their undoing, for the blood changed them. At first subtly, improved vitality, heightened senses, then visions, whispers, hallucinations, and eventually something far worse. The line between man and beast began to blur. As the healing church grew, it splintered into layers, factions, each more secretive than the last. On the surface was the Black Church, the visible face of the clergy, draped in ceremonial robes. And then the White Church, focused on administering the blood in the outer districts. But above them all was the choir, a hidden sect of scholars who study the blood not as medicine, but as revelation. The choir believed that the old blood was a fragment of the Great Ones, eldritch beings from beyond the stars who existed in a plane far removed from human understanding. Their goal? To make contact, to ascend. They experimented with blood, with children, with orphan infants of the Great Ones, born still and born wrong. Beneath the city, others dug deeper. The school of Mensis, an offshoot of the church, performed darker rites. They sought communion, not through faith, but through madness. Their obsession gave birth to horrors, unseen forces, dream worlds, and nightmares given form. Even as the church reached upward toward the stars, something primal stirred below. The more blood was shared, the more the city changed. Men and women became feral. Whole districts vanished under the plague. The church did not warn the people, and they did not confess their mistake. Instead, they created a cleansing force. The church hunters, clad in black, wielding fire and steel, led by figures like Ludwig, a hero once revered, later broken by the very blood he served. By night, they purged the beasts. By day, the church continued the ritual. It was a cycle of silence and slaughter, a spiral into damnation, masked by ritual robes and golden light. To question the church was to vanish. To refuse the blood was to die alone. The healing church promised a miracle, but what they delivered was a city on the edge of a dream where men were beasts and gods were madness. And still they whispered that salvation lay just beyond the veil. Perhaps they were right, but to follow them is to walk the path of Lawrence, and we know where that path ends, back at Bergenworth. Beneath the still waters of a forgotten lake, there was a door. Behind it, truths not meant for man. We followed Lawrence into the streets of Yharnam, where the blood was used, misused, and worshipped. But before the church, before the beasts, there was Bergenworth, and the moment its scholars uncovered something older than the city itself, the nightmare began. Bergenworth was not a monastery, it was a place of quiet pursuit, an academy devoted to the arcane, the forgotten and the forbidden. Its halls were small and remote, but its ambitions were vast. Led by Master Willem, the scholars of Bergenworth studied remnants of a pre-human civilization unearthed in the Chalice dungeons, ancient tombs beneath the Thumerian labyrinth. There, they found ruins, statues, writings etched in tongues never spoken by man, and in those depths they found something far stranger. Blood that shimmered with insight, eyes embedded in flesh, and faint whispers of great ones. The old blood defied reason. It was not of this world. It connected the human soul to something greater. Master Willem believed that mankind was on the cusp of evolution, not physical, but cognitive. We are born of the blood, he taught, but we must not allow ourselves to be undone by it. Willem's answer was not more blood, it was eyes. Not literal eyes, but metaphorical lenses, ways of seeing into the unknowable, glimpsing the higher planes of existence. The scholars began experimenting. They used the blood to awaken insight, to manifest more eyes inside the brain. Not everyone could withstand what they saw. But among Willem's disciples was Lawrence, a brilliant, impatient student. Lawrence believed in the blood, not as a symbol, but as a tool. He saw it heal. He saw its power. Willem warned, "Fear the old blood." Lawrence replied with action. He took the blood, left Bergenworth, and so the first rift formed between knowledge and application, between caution and faith. In that fracture, the healing church was born, and Bergenworth became a hollow place, a tomb for scholars who gazed too long and saw too much. Willem stayed behind. He watched, waited, and continued his experiments. Some say he succeeded, that he unlocked his mind to the cosmos and saw the great ones peering back. Others say he failed and was left a husk. His last protege, a woman named Rom, was the final product of Bergenworth's insight rituals. Rom was once human. She transcended. Her mind was flooded with so many eyes that she could no longer think in human terms. She became a seal, a living lock, holding back a cosmic revelation. As long as Rom remained hidden, the full truth stayed buried. But once she was found, the sky itself would change. By the time the hunters arrive in Yharnam, Bergenworth is a memory. Its halls are silent, its students are gone, but its mistakes echo through the blood-soaked streets. Willem's warnings were ignored, and the old blood spread, and the eyes that were meant to elevate man now watch him crumble. Bergenworth's greatest lesson was never written down, that truth, when seen too clearly, becomes madness. They saw evolution, but they found extinction. In their arrogance, Bergenworth opened the door. It would be the healing church that stepped through. Now, we'll follow those who dared gaze up upon the great ones, and those who return changed. In the earliest days of Yharnam, the sky was silent, the moon was pale, and mankind was blind. That was before we listened, before the blood, the insight, and the dreams, before the veil between our world and another grew thin. This is the story of the great ones, cosmic beings whose thoughts shape reality and whose silence is louder than prayer. And it's the story of the nightmare, a place not born of sleep, but of obsession, grief, and the quiet hunger of things we should have never reached. But what are the great ones? They are ancient, unfathomable entities, not gods, not demons, but higher dimensional beings, born not of our world, but above it. We do not know where they came from. Some say they fell with the stars. Others believe they have always been here, watching, waiting, whispering to those willing to listen. They do not obey physical law. Their forms are mutable. Their voices come in dreams. And when they touch our world, they leave behind only ruin. Named are fragments: Abritus, daughter of the cosmos; Mergo, the stillborn; Odin, whose exists only in voice; and Kos, who washed ashore bearing silence and sorrow. The Great Ones are not inherently malevolent, but they are so utterly alien that to commune with them is to tear the human mind into pieces. The Healing Church believed the blood of the Great Ones could bring about human evolution. Their highest clergy, the choir, inherited the forbidden knowledge of Bergenworth and took it further. Beneath the Grand Cathedral, they discovered Abritus, the Great One left behind, a child who had failed to ascend. From her, they extracted blood imbued with cosmic resonance. They believed that with enough insight, enough transformation, man could become kin to the stars. The results were not what they expected. Some became malformed abominations. Others became vessels, mouths without wills. They tried again and again, creating the Celestial Emissary, a congregation of former humans, now blue-skinned and vacant-eyed, and Adolin, a patient whose mind unravelled with each blood treatment. As you once did for the vacuous Rom, grant us eyes, Adolin mutters. The Church had misunderstood everything. The Great Ones did not offer ascension, they offered reflection, and what mankind saw in the mirror was horror. In Yharnam, knowledge is currency, but unlike coin, it cannot be spent without cost. As your insight grows, the world changes. At first, barely, a whisper here, a shape in the fog, but eventually, you see them. The amygdala, clinging to the buildings like forgotten gargoyles, invisible to those blind to the truth. With enough insight, the red moon rises, the sky itself twists, and the boundary between waking world and nightmare fades. In the cathedral ward, bells toll with no hands. Choir corpses praise the stars no longer visible. You hear it in the music. You see it in the architecture. You feel it in the blood. Insight opens your eyes, and what is seen cannot be unseen. The nightmare is not a metaphor, it's a place. When contact with the Great Ones deepened, space and mind collapsed into themselves. The nightmare was born, a stitched together plane of memory, failure and regret. Here lies the nightmare frontier, a graveyard of ascended failures, misshapen kin crawling towards a forgotten sky. Here lies the nightmare of Mensis, where Mikolash, in madness chants, the cosmos, no matter how bizarre, must be a means to ascend. In this place, time loops, light dies, sanity is optional. Mergo, the child of a Great One and Queen Yharnam, exists here as a presence, but not as a form. Her cries shake the veil between planes. Odin, another Great One, leaves no body, only echoes. He is felt in every hunter's resurrection. He may be the voice behind the hunter's dream itself, or merely its architect. If there is one shared thread among all Great Ones, it is this: they all seek children. Their own progeny are often stillborn, and so they look to humans, to surrogate. The orphan of Kos is one such child, a being born after her mother Kos washed ashore. The people of Fishing Hamlet, once simple coastal folk, were visited by Bergenworth's hunters. Kos was defiled, and her child was born in torment. In her death, she cursed the hunters, cursed the fiends, the children, forever true. The nightmare of the orphan is an echo of that curse. the final punishment for those who violated something sacred. Even Gurman, the first hunter, is trapped in a dream of servitude, bound to a wheel that turns by blood, not mercy. To understand the Great Ones is not to ascend, it's to fracture. The further you go, the more the world unravels. What began as healing became hunger. What began as prayer became puppetry. In Yharnam, knowledge does not save you, it changes you. And in the end, even you may become Great One yourself.